In my family, I was the first grandson.
Okay.
So I have a number of older female cousins, and they're older than me. And man, it was always a turmoil because I was like the young kid. So like in front of my grandma's house, like they used to play double dutch, or with the jump ropes. I mean, it was a whole thing. I mean, it's actually kind of a spectacle, man. You got the ropes going, and they're singing, and there's a rhythm to it.
It's a whole thing.
So on and so forth, and they're just playing double dutch. So like it's funny because like they would just catch that rhythm, and then they would just jump in. And so, like, it would be my turn, right? and
I can relate.
See,
I can relate to this as well.
Man, here I am. I'm hesitating, and I'm trying to catch the rhythm and trying to wait for the right opening. Moment. And it's funny because hesitant behavior in that moment, instead of just catching the rhythm and moving with it, because I'm dragging into the loop, man, them little vinyl cords was popping me all up inside and down side of my head, because like that's the result of that paralysis. So either I would never join, and by the time I did, I was so lagging that there was consequence for the way I was approaching it. And I think that there are some of us that either we just are never going to get in it, or because you wait so long and you're so out of sync with the rhythm of providence or the movements of the Spirit that you wind up suffering a cost simply because hesitation is actually worse than making, in some ways, the wrong decision.
Life can be fast-paced, strenuous, and flat-out overwhelming. Life transitions and taboo topics can make it hard to catch your breath. Welcome to Breathe, a podcast that enables you to slow down, get your bearings, and engage in real conversations where no topic is off limits. Breathe is presented by Breath of Life, hosted by David Person and speaker-director Pastor Debleaire Snell.
Boom!
We in here.
I like that.
Brothers. What's up, brothers?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. It's another marvelous Monday.
Marvelous Monday.
I'm with the brethren.
Yes.
I'm with the people.
The people.
I'm still breathing.
Still breathing.
It don't get no better than this.
It's no better than breathing.
Oh, man, that's good.
When you're doing a podcast called Breathe, you need to be breathing. So we're breathing. We're breathing today.
That's it.
That's right.
Yes.
Pastor Snell, Pastor Nugent, David Person.
Come on.
Glad to be with you today.
Absolutely.
And we are doing another podcast episode.
Yes, indeed.
We're excited about.
Yeah.
And this one, I think a lot of people probably can relate to this one because, we are afraid, I think, and understandably so.
Sure.
To make bad decisions.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So then the temptation is to overthink.
It's a natural response.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about today.
We're still in this decision ingredients.
All the ingredients.
Kind of conversation.
That's right.
Sometimes overthinking, hesitance can be a part of that conversation.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we want to walk through that topic today, overthinking your decisions. And so let's go ahead and get right on into it. What's your experience been with that whole thing of second guessing yourself, overthinking? What's your experience been?
Yeah, no, I think it is completely a part of the human experience. There are times where I have really strong conviction and certainty about a particular path. And then there have been some times where, man, it is very much a journey of faith where I'm questioning, did I make the right choice? Did I hear God correctly? I think many times you find yourself trying to parse through, was that God speaking, or was that just my desire? Or was that just, me reacting to a certain set of variables? And so I think second guessing is a part of the human experience. It's funny because even when you look in Scripture, you had a group of people who in one moment prayed earnestly for God to deliver them from Egypt. Then they got outside of the boundaries of Egypt and completely second-guessed that choice and said, maybe we should have just stayed. It would have been better had we just stayed in Egypt.
So true.
I think it's a part of the journey of faith for all people.
That there's overthinking that comes So I love the way you framed it, overthinking and second guessing. So overthinking can, in my opinion, is front loaded. It can happen before the decision is made.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you can still be thinking about it after you've made the decision, but that I think is squarely in the realm of second guessing because now you're on the other end of it.
Right.
So now it's like, man, did I make the right choice? You know, so there's a component of both that I think is very much part and parcel to the human experience.
That's a good way to separate those two. I like the way you
But I
broke
think
that
that
down.
having the decision be the differentiating factor, like, because man, before the decision, I tell you what, I would rather second guess. Because at that point, I've already made a decision, right? Because you know what I'm saying? You almost have to just kind of deal with what it's done now.
Sure.
You know, you've already cracked the egg. You're gonna have to make an omelet or scramble it. You got to make a decision. But if you're sitting there with the egg uncracked and you're like, well, I don't know. Should I make a cake? I mean, there's so many things I could do with this. So I don't know, the overthinking part. I feel like you're in your own thoughts and you're looking at it from multiple different scenarios and angles and where could it go. And you're trying to play out certain scenarios. That is very much something that I deal with on a day-to-day basis.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson used to call that the paralysis of analysis.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You know, you're so invested in trying to not make a mistake, to be perfect.
That's it.
There's a fear that sets in, and so then you're paralyzed.
Yep. And when you're paralyzed, I don't know. This is where I think the overthinking thing is on the negative side, because I do believe that you want to look at something from all the angles. So you know, it's a fine line between just being thorough, right, and taking your time, as we said in previous episodes.
Right, we had a whole episode about that.
Taking your time, right, and seeing it from different angles, getting advice. But then there comes a moment where, and I think you said this in a sermon or two, that overthinking can become disobedience because you've already received clarity, and clear instruction, and you're like, well, I just want to hear this other opinion. Well, I just want to. What does Dave have to say? You know, Dave's gone through that before. I need to hear Dave's opinion before I make a decision. And so there's a component of overthinking that, especially when it's ahead of the decision, that can be disobedient. But it can also just be you in your own head and in your own thoughts.
Sure.
Yeah.
And as I'm thinking about what we're all saying, one thing that comes to mind for me is overthinking. I'm not saying all the time, but maybe some of the time, maybe a lot of the time. Is it really symptomatic of having a lack of faith?
Ooh.
Yeah. So
never thought of it like that. Yeah.
I think that is a component of it. So I was, as I was thinking about this, when I tend to overthink and or second guess, it's when I am feeling led to do something that I kind of don't want to do.
Okay.
So,
that's good. Going to the deeper level. Yeah.
All right, man. If like if it's whether it's to forgive or to enter into a space that's maybe not naturally comfortable for me.
Right.
That's when I tend to kind of pull out Gideon's fleece.
Yeah.
Like, Lord, make it wet and then make the ground dry and make the ground dry and make the fleece wet.
Right.
So I just think that sometimes when this is something that's uncomfortable, unfamiliar, or something I genuinely just don't want to do, that's when I tend to perhaps second guess, especially if it's not bearing immediate fruit. And you tend to walk through it, and I think that in some ways is a fruit of a lack of faith. That's one of the results of it, and so I think that is that's a very strong component of it, because man, it's there's certain things that you hear all the time, but I don't think it doesn't really resonate what that looks like. So when the Bible says, the just are gonna live by faith and not by sight. I don't think, it sounds so cool when you're preaching it.
Yeah.
But man, when it's just not clear how it's going to unfold, and where the win is and where the breakthrough is, that is very uncomfortable space to have to navigate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can we go back to Gideon for a minute? Because I really like the fact that you brought that up. Can we examine Gideon in the context of this whole question of overthinking?
Yeah.
Was that what Gideon was doing, do you think? Do you think he was overthinking?
No. So it's funny because we tend to put Gideon in the faith category. But Gideon's experience was actually really, the miracle was actually God's patience.
Yeah.
because this was not like, I mean, so again, I need to think through it, but the word of the Lord has come to him
Right.
saying, do X.
Right.
So his whole thing is, well, he doesn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
He's already in the wine press.
Come on.
Threshing wheat, hiding
He's
from
hiding.
the battle.
He's
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's just like, all right, Lord, if it's you, make the ground dry, and the fleece wet.
Mercy.
And the Lord does it. But then he comes back
So
again.
gracious.
And it's just like, all right, make the fleece wet and the ground dry, this time. And it is like really that lack of belief. It is his unwillingness to do that prompts this. And so the miracle is not really that God did it. It was just really God's long suffering with him in his second guessing or sign requesting. And that's what Jesus said to a certain extent, that a wicked generation looks for a sign. Because usually we want a sign when we're recoiling against the word that God has spoken to us, whether it is, something he's convicted us to do or something that's been laid out clearly in Scripture.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible to legitimately wonder, God, are you really asking me to do this?
Yes. And honestly, so many, and I'll kick it around, but so many of the spirit-born initiatives of life, they're going to feel bigger than you. It's going to feel like it's too much for you. One of the ways I know it's God is, man, there is this sense of without God's help, it cannot succeed.
Can't succeed.
It cannot be possible.
Yeah.
And so I just think that that is an authentic part of the believer's journey, which requires faith. So that when you kind of look at it, and I think we've talked about it in the previous episode, like when you look at the call of God on people, whether it was Jeremiah, I'm too young, whether it was Moses, I'm slow of speech.
Yeah.
There was something in all of them that was just like, you got to be talking about somebody else.
Right.
And so I just think that, I think that is a part of the human experience, is to see our own lack and sometimes, man, be defeated by our perceived lack, not recognizing that God's strength is made perfect in our weakness.
But I think I just want to draw this distinction, because I think, especially for Gideon, how many of us can say we know we're talking to God?
Right.
I mean, like he, that was not his question.
That was not his question.
Is that you, God?
Yeah.
If that was his question, I could see why he was a little. No, he knew he was talking to God, and he still asked for the sign. I think, if we find ourselves in that scenario, we just need to recognize, praise God for his long suffering, and you might have to move scared. You have to move unsure. You have to move not necessarily being able to see what that next step is. God is asking you to take a step of faith, especially if you know it's God.
Yeah.
Oh, then you know where you are. But I think on the other side of it, and this is where I squarely sit a lot of times, because I just feel like there's so many decisions in life that don't necessarily, look, God is invested in every aspect of our lives. Like, whether I put the toothpaste on this way or that way, I just believe God is invested, right?
Oh, do you? Okay.
But
Right.
no, I believe He's invested in everything.
Okay.
How you scratch your head, all that stuff. I believe God is He's concerned in every single aspect of our lives.
Okay.
But I just feel like there are some decisions that it isn't gonna be a make or break depending on which way you go.
Sure.
You're just overthinking.
Yeah.
And you find yourself in I don't know if I should. You want to lean one way, you want to lean another way. And what has helped me in the overthinking stage is to remember that God is concerned with every single aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Because I think the overthinking sometimes comes because I haven't brought it to him.
Yeah.
I didn't even take it to him. I'm trying to figure it out on my own. I'm just trying to use common sense. I'm trying to figure out best practices. Let me go see what this guru has to say. Let me go check YouTube. I mean, real talk, somebody's watching the podcast right now.
Right.
Because they want to hear what David Person or Pastor Snell or Kirk is going to say about a particular issue and that they have not taken to God.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm not I'm not saying that, in the multitude of counsel, we find, some truth. But I also believe that we have an onus as believers to have our knee-jerk reaction be, God, what do you think? Help me to understand which way should I turn on this particular issue?
Right.
I think we have made some issues big and made them purpose. You know, like this is God's calling on my life.
Right.
And I know that the Lord is asking me. And then other issues we say, I got this one.
Yeah.
I got this one.
We pick and choose.
Yeah, it's okay, God. I'm good. I can figure this one out on my own. And then we find ourselves in the overthinking rut. And then sometimes God just, this has been my experience when I'm overthinking, and God would just drop something so clear, and you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Wow.
And I have a sense of peace to move forward in that direction because you were able to take it to God.
I wonder too if one of the complications that we sometimes deal with is that we see almost everything through the lens of it being salvific or not. You know, like if I make this decision, what impact does that have on my salvation? Or if I make this decision, is it going to send me to hell or something like that? I mean, does that resonate with you all? Do you see that as being part of this?
I think for me, it's probably more looking at everything as not salvific, in my loss, but more is it success fail?
Success
as opposed to process, learn, grow.
See,
all things work together for good.
That's it.
So because I think that if I see everything as success, failure, then sometimes I lose sight of the process. Man, one of our favorite writers, Ellen White, she says, man, there's certain lessons that will not be learned except but through failure.
Yeah.
So where we see failure as this, catastrophic thing that has no virtue or meaning or value, she's essentially saying, failure at times, it is the fertilizer.
That's it.
It is the catalyst for growth in various seasons. Right. And it's funny, Rick Warren, he makes this statement, and it was a game-changing statement for me personally. He was just like, man, God never wastes a hurt.
Yeah.
And whereas kind of all hurt or pain, we just felt like, okay, it's just something got to grieve or endure. But like, no, there is value in the valley, in the lamentation, in the setback, in the discouraging time. And it's funny because like, it's just kind of the way we're programmed to a certain extent. So we see a bright, beautiful day, and we say, man, the weather is great. Right. And we see a rainy day and say, man, it's a bad weather day. Yeah. But the question is, like, is rain bad weather? Like, is rain
that's a good
bad
question.
weather?
That's a good
like,
question.
no, rain, that is a growth, germination.
Come on.
Like things are prospering. Like things are rain causes things to grow. It's a part of that process. I think when you look at everything, either in one of those two contexts, salvation or loss, success or failure, as opposed to this is a part of that process. It's a growing season. It's a growing pain that we serve the God that can even take setbacks and make them into stepping stones because all things work together for good.
Yeah, I love the two pieces of it, right? The salvation, or and then the pass or fail. Yeah, because God's the work of salvation is done. Yeah, and this is His free gift.
Correct. Yeah.
So now you're just living. Yeah. And God is going to give you experiences that will fine tune you. And what does fine tuning look like? It doesn't look like rosy days. Yeah. It looks like being chiseled. It looks like going through the gauntlet, if you will. It looks like adversity. Yeah. It looks like going through some failure. Yeah. And I just love the way you put that, because it's this perspective that says, I either win or I learn. Not necessarily fail. Yeah. I either win or I learn. Yeah. That's the first one. I love that one. But then the second one is an acronym for FAIL. First attempt in learning. Yeah. And I thought that one was a good one as well, because
that's a good word.
Again, it frees somebody up to make that attempt.
First attempt
now
in learning.
I'm learning something. I've got more information after I failed at it or was successful at it. I've got more information than everybody that's still thinking. Yeah. And that's the crux of what we were talking about, is the overthinking space can be paralyzing if you don't recognize that regardless of the outcome of what you're going to do next, you will either win or learn. Yeah. Right? Or it'll be your first attempt at learning.
And kind of going, so man, this is such a good dialogue.
Yeah.
So when you talked about salvation as something that is already done, so when we talk about these decisions, is this going to cause me to be saved or lost?
There it is.
That's an errant way to view decisions.
There it is. Yep.
Because some of us, there's a term that I'm still working out of my vernacular. So we'll say something like, God is saving me.
Yeah.
As if it is it's still happening or it's still up in the air.
Yeah.
The Bible makes it clear, he that hath the Son hath life. He that hath not the Son hath not life. So the work of being saved, it is God's completed work in me.
Done.
So even though salvation is complete, but you know what is ongoing is sanctification.
There it is.
And even my missteps and mistakes are part of God's sanctifying process of kind of reproducing perfectly his character in me. But that work of being saved, that's done. That's not even up for discussion. No. Like I'm his and he is mine, and I'm signed, sealed, and delivered. Right.
That's it.
So I just think we need to kind of move that as we need to move that away from the decision-making process because you're adding and living with a pressure and a stress that is unnecessary. So I think that was a really critical point that you made. But I think the other thing, when we talk about hesitance or overthinking versus making a mistake, I think you have to kind of decide which discomfort you will choose.
Good.
So I think mistakes mistakes can cause pain. Hesitation creates paralysis.
Yeah.
And I think I would rather have pain than paralysis.
Come on.
So it's my attempt to not
choose your
feel,
heart.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because pain means I'm still moving. I'm alive, But a paralyzed person, they're just stuck.
They're stuck.
And, I just think that, as I think there are too many people who are probably listening to this today. They are paralyzed in their work. They're paralyzed spiritually.
Come on.
They're paralyzed romantically. It's funny, man. It's so funny because now I'm going to mix my metaphor. Had a terrible experience as a maybe 8 or 9 year old. So in my family, I was the first grandson. Okay. So I have a number of older female cousins, and they're older than me, and man, it was always a turmoil because I was like the young kid. So in front of my grandma's house, they used to play double dutch or with the jump ropes. I mean, it was a whole thing. I mean, it's actually kind of a spectacle, man. You got the ropes going and they're singing and there's a rhythm to it.
It's a whole thing.
So on and so forth, and they're just playing double dutch. So it's funny because they would just catch that rhythm. Yeah. And then they would just jump in. And so it would be my turn, right? and
I can relate.
I can relate to this as well.
Man, here I am. I'm hesitating and I'm trying to catch the rhythm and trying to wait for the right opening. Moment. And it's funny because hesitant behavior in that moment, instead of just catching the rhythm and moving with it, because I'm dragging into the loop, man, them little vinyl cords was popping me all up and down side of my head because that's the result of that paralysis. So either I would never join, and by the time I did, I was so lagging that there was consequence for the way I was approaching it. Yeah. And I think that there are some of us that either we just are never going to get in it, or because you wait so long and you're so out of sync with the rhythm of providence or the movements of the Spirit that you wind up suffering a cost simply because hesitation is actually worse than making, in some ways, the wrong decision. Because a wrong decision, man, can be painful in the moment, but man, God has grace for everything. Come on. But man, when you just won't move or you won't decide or you just live just with a second guessing, you can't even get the grace that God gives to the person who makes a mistake.
That's gold.
So I growing up in Chicago, I remember clearly my fear of the double dutch, and I never was able to figure it out.
Never mastered it.
It's like witchcraft, man. And you hear those ropes popping in the ground.
And I was always in awe of people that could do it.
I
just never figured out how are they doing that?
Yeah.
one of my teachers, I think in high school or elementary school, used to say, "He who hesitates is lost."
Is lost.
Wow.
Yeah. Now they didn't mean in a spiritual or theological sense, but just this whole idea of what you were talking about earlier, which is if you allow yourself to be paralyzed, because you're hesitant, you're going to miss out on the opportunity. So you kind of have to. I'm going to say it. I think specifically African American people in this country are acculturated to be hesitant. Okay. And I say that because I think we have had a lot to lose. And have lost a lot.
And the margins are so narrow for bounce back.
That's right.
I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
But what I've noticed, and I don't, I'm just speaking plainly here. What I've noticed is I think our white brothers and sisters are acculturated to take risks. And to not hesitate. And so
this is heavy.
They do things that we don't often do.
And we see it as reckless in some ways.
And some of it I would argue is reckless. Like, why am I going to waste a good parachute skydiving? Are you kidding me? What's the point in that? But when it comes to things that are more down to earth, real life opportunities that may have some risk, I think it makes a lot of sense to learn how to push past the temptation to hesitate, the fear of failure, and just do it.
So, it's funny because like you listen to the story even of like great businessmen, or even just businessmen in general. They'll talk about how many times they've lost their shirt, or
everything,
been into bankruptcy, so on and so forth. And I was talking to somebody, recently, without sharing too much. There was an opportunity that would have required them to make an investment of somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000, and and I'm just using that figure so as not to disclose too much. And and this would have been a significant portion of their savings, so on and so forth. And so we were talking about it, and I'm just like, I was like, that's just money. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in another community, like, for the sake of this dream, this idea, that's not even second guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And in their mind, like, man, to spend that much money on this, what if it doesn't work? And I'm just like, it's just money. I'm just like, you'll spend that on a car or a piece of jewelry or a couch. You see what I'm saying? And none of these things will bring you any return. They'll lend you some temporary comforts and conveniences and utility, but like, no, for a dream, a vision, like, no, you should go all the way with that. And even if it doesn't, at least you won't have to live wondering. Whereas I do think other communities, like, like a 5,000, 10,000, or even like the idea of a student loan, that's the difference between you living a dream or you just watching everybody else live theirs, depending on what resources available to you at the time.
It's really, I mean, just even as we're talking, a lot of things come to mind. One of them in of course the startup world is this framing of the early adopter. And you don't get the early adopters have this whole string of benefits that come along with it. But it is risky to be an early adopter. Because you're out there basically testing the waters for everybody else. But the person that's testing the waters knows where to step. And so now they become the guy. So you got AI right now. You got a lot of folks that got into it early. Really hunkered down. But it was a gamble. Right. But right now it isn't, because a lot of people are going to them and what do we do for this? What do we do for that? And so it's the hesitance to get in is one aspect, right or wrong, pass or fail, however you want to look at it. But then what opportunities do you miss out on having not been one of the early adopters? Then on the flip side, what did you avoid? Right. So there's that very real balancing act that you have to play there as well.
But I think for us, it's just kind of, Proverbs 3:5, and I think many of us know it. If not, I want to encourage anybody that's entering this space to read it. And I think it's worth committing to memory, where it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. And so I think even in that directing of the path, the human frailty, we mishear, we get hurried, we get anxious. But I just think in the guiding of the path, I think that doesn't mean, okay, I make every decision correctly. It just means that if I'm earnestly seeking the path, he's able to shape even my imperfect, poor, rushed, hurried decisions.
Absolutely.
And help me wind up where I'm supposed to be in the end.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
so
it.
I love
that's why I think folks should really focus a lot more on the relationship.
yeah. Yeah.
Focus on the relationship.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Even if you make a mistake in judgment,
Yeah.
it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay.
You know, God still loves you. You're going to be all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
And I think the other thing that, I do want to say though, is just, I think maybe we've said it before, is all of us try to be spiritual men and women. And, but being spiritual doesn't make you omniscient.
That's
Like
right.
it's just, there are no omniscient
right.
people. Like, so even when I think about, we actually just talked about it a few weeks back here in church where, the prophet Samuel went to Jesse's house and to anoint one of his sons. And so this tall son, the oldest, Eliab, comes out. They see how tall he is and handsome he is. And they're like, this must be the Lord's anointed. And even God had to say to the prophet, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You all are looking at the outward appearance. I'm looking at the heart. So what I'm saying is even like the most spiritual amongst us can be deceived. You can get infatuated. You have your type. So there are always mistakes and missteps along the way. But I did want to just throw out maybe a few criteria for just how to make a God-led choice that hopefully you don't have to second guess. And this is still imperfect, but it's kind of 3 P's or through some alliteration.
Come on, I like it.
Right.
Is there a principle behind the decision?
Okay.
Is it not just is there an emotion or a desire, but is there an actual life and or biblical principle that undergirds this, that says there is some content here.
Right.
There is an objective value that either will sometimes align with my desire or it'll disagree with my desire. Is there a principle? Number 2, is there a prompting? Is kind of you sense the still small voice of the Holy Spirit. It's whispering to you. Every time, your world gets quiet and you leave enough room to hear him saying left, right, forward, still. So is there a principle? Is there a prompting? And you said it already. Is there peace? I think spiritual decisions, you won't always see fruit right away, but I think you can have peace right away. Wow. So meaning you don't see it work out as soon as you make the decision. There are going to be times of delay and drought, and maybe a good decision will consistently be opposed circumstantially. So there are going to be some things that come up as soon as you make that good choice that will make you suggest that maybe I should go back to Egypt where it's comfortable and familiar and known.
Mercy.
But I think that when you have the peace of God, and see, the thing about it is, remember, peace is not circumstantial, it's internal. So what peace does is it keeps my inside from looking like my outside.
Okay.
So there are going to be times where outside it's kind of chaotic and unsure, but in the inside I can still have a certain degree of certainty because I got those 3 P's operating. I've received that prompting. There is a principle. So like when I say this, man, should I forgive this person? Well, there actually is a biblical principle that undergirds that. Like that, honestly, that's not even something you really have to pray about because the word is actually already spoken that. You know what I'm saying? And, is this decision, man, helping my peace to multiply? Or is that decision causing my peace to be removed, stripped, and or taken away?
All right.
That's good. That's practical.
Very practical. Any final thoughts from you, Pastor Nugent?
Man, listen, I think there's a lot of food for thought in the entire episode and the entire conversation today. I just want to speak to the person that is in that overthinking mode and let them know you're not alone. Not alone. That's it. I don't even have anything else. The principles that have been shared or what have been shared, but I think the for the person who's overthinking, you think you're the only one.
You're not the only one.
Yeah. And I just want you to walk away knowing you're not the only one. This is across the board. It's part of the human experience is overthinking from time to time. But I think some of the principles have been shared today in this episode will really help you get across the line.
Can I throw one last word in there?
Yeah.
But I think, when you mentioned something about do we get paralyzed or overthink simply because, man, we don't feel like, man, we can be the ones to do said thing. I think every one of us has to really evaluate who we are in Christ.
That's good.
Because if you never gain that clarity, your life will just be a seesaw of just ebbs and flows and ups and downs and back and forth and one step forward and two steps back. I mean, I just think that when you look at the language of Scripture, when God says, he actually refers to us as his masterpiece, created in Christ to do good works. I just think that you have to recognize that I think some of us need to embrace the idea that, yeah, man, I've been gifted for this moment, called to this moment, assigned to this moment. I just don't think many of us have that kind of undergirding that guides our life journey. Because the only people, we think the only people that are called are preachers. That's just one calling.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, as you're stepping into this big space, whether it is to lead, to build, to write, to teach, to, launch something, like, it's not a matter of if. Like, if you believe you are God's masterpiece,
Right.
and your steps are ordered by God, I just think that we should even, do you realize how much of our life energy is consumed? Half of our brain is preoccupied with failure, whether or not it's going to work. But I just think that when you begin living with that kind of conviction, failure begins to be removed from the rubric of your decision-making process, and you can operate with a greater degree of peace and certainty and some assurance, even in that unknown, uncertain time of the journey.
Man. So a few things to think about. Know who you are in God.
Yeah.
Meaning God created you for a purpose, and he embedded in you the ability to do certain things. Learn to trust that and to believe in that and to believe in your connection with God as you continue to develop it, that connection with God.
That's it.
Also, trust in the Lord. Don't lean to your own understanding. Acknowledge God. He's going to direct your path. Trust in that. And finally, you said something that I want to make sure is the 3 Ps.
Yeah.
Make your decisions based on principle, based on the prompting that you sense from God, and then
peace.
When you find peace from that, take courage in that you've made the right decision. And or if it wasn't the right decision, and this is just David throwing this in, if it's not the right decision, have peace in knowing that God is going to work it out with you so that everything will be all right.
That's it.
Let's take some of the anxiety out of living that we don't need to have.
That's the word right there. Yeah, anxiety.
Yeah. Well, we enjoy our time with you always.
Every single time.
And we are glad that you spend time with us. We hope that you will continue to communicate with us about what you like, what you don't like, what you would like for us to discuss, who's close enough to the mic, who isn't. Apparently I wasn't close enough to the mic 1 or 2 times, and somebody pointed it out. That's fine.
We're taking your feedback into consideration.
That's
you
it.
see how I'm almost kissing the mic right now? Well, that's because of your feedback.
That's good. That's good.
So we're going to move into a new series with our next episode. We're calling it Something or Nothing. And we're going to be bringing up some current event issues that we know y'all are already talking about. And what we want to discuss here on the podcast is whether or not these are things that you should be concerned, or I say we should be concerned about or not. So make sure you stay with us with this podcast series. And I know many of you have been and do, and we're grateful for that. God bless you. Don't forget, no matter how challenging life may be, you don't have to overthink it. Stop, pray, and breathe.
Breathe is produced by David Person for Breath of Life. Executive producer is Debleaire Snell, and sound engineer is Kirk Nugent. Audio episodes of Breathe can be found on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcast platforms. For video episodes and extra content, check out the Breath of Life YouTube channel. Breath of Life is faith-based content, resources, and programs from a contemporary urban perspective for those looking for hope and guidance. We believe that every breath we take is a testimony that God is consistent, that He loves us, and has a plan for our lives.